Ladies and gentlemen, what's good, y'all? It's your boy D1. You are here for another episode of Flipping Tables with D1. Listen, jump in my comments. Does that whine annoy y'all? You heard me? When I come on here going whine, let me know, because I'm from New Orleans. And, you know, growing up, that's something you hear. And it's like, oh, it's up. It's lit. You heard me? It's like, I'm happy to see you. So I be happy to see y'all, and I hit y'all with that one.
You such an overthinker, bro.
Yeah. No, I want y'all to go into the comments and let me know if the wine is annoying to y'all. And if y'all cool with it, if y'all respect where the wine coming from, then yeah, because the wine at the beginning of every episode, that part is potentially replaceable. What's not replaceable is this prayer at the beginning of every episode. So let us pray. Father God, I do not come to you saying wine. I come to you saying thank you so much for everything, like for life, for this opportunity to speak truth and speak your words through my mouth, right? Have the ability to have a platform that people listen to, and I just want to be impactful, and I want you to be pleased with how I'm utilizing this platform as well. So thank you for this. Allow everyone to receive a lot of value from this episode, and in Jesus' name, I pray. It's your boy, D1. Amen. All right. Yeah, y'all. Anyways, man. The BET Awards came on last night. The BET Hip Hop Awards. Once again, the BET Hip Hop Awards came on last night. Did you watch them? I did. Y'all, we got a problem. We got a problem. The culture is broken. This is what I tweeted while watching the awards. I said, watching the BET Hip Hop Awards, and it's obvious, ... The culture is broken and needs a fix. Call it like it is with the shrug emoji. I'd love to help y'all out next year at BET, at Hip Hop Awards. We have to steer this ship in a different direction. All of us. And I stand by everything I said. Man, I want better for us so bad. I really do. I was cringing watching the awards because I know that we have so much more to us in terms of diversity, in terms of eloquence, in terms of intelligence, in terms of class, and in terms of talent than what gets glorified and gets shown on an awards show like the BET Hip Hop Awards. And we speaking about last night's event, which was 2024, right? Y'all, we got to ask ourselves, are we ready to officially just say, man, the culture is broken? Like, it's broken, and it's so broken that, like, being broken is the new norm. Like, we're unfortunately complicit with it being broken. Too many of us are complicit, right? If we could just admit that, if we could look at the finished product, and I've had to ask myself, is this something where it's about an intentional effort on the part of TV executives to say we want to only show this one side of blackness, for example, that will be broadcast, across the airwaves for everybody to see, so that those images can be stuck in people's head? Is it that intentional, or is it just over time the norm has just become what we've seen, and it's really just a mirror being held up to the culture and saying, look, y'all, this what y'all love. Like, this is what y'all make and consume all day. So we just giving it a stage and a platform, We need solutions, though. And as I'm being solution-oriented and not just wanting to go on a campaign of blaming BET or blaming these artists, I'm asking myself, well, what do solutions look like? So number one, we got to be the change that we want to see. Those of us who do see that the culture is broken and needs fixing, we got to be the change and continue to be the change. So a lot of us are doing that already. So that's great. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being the change that you want to see, and boldly be the change that you want to see. Confidently be the change that you want to see, whether you are a creator and you make music, whether you're a consumer and you consume hip-hop music, or whether you're a commissioner and you're an executive of some sort, or you're in the media, right? And you play a role in that side of the industry. Be the change that you want to see, to where you reflect a different type of greatness. You feel me? A different type of greatness. Because one could argue that, I mean, these people are great. Look at how many millions of streams and followers they have. So when they're on this stage performing, let me see who they had performing last night. They had, I mean, I watched the show, but just so I don't leave nobody out. All right, so they had 2 Chainz. They had 310 Baby. They had Big Boogie. They had GloRilla, Boss Man D-Lo. I think he opened the whole show up. E40, Juicy J, Soulja Boy, Roscoe Dash, Trina, and I believe Young Miami, right? I think that's everybody who performed yesterday. Flau'jae, that's my sister right there. I rock with Flau'jae real tough. She performed as well. And, you know, it's very lopsided in terms of showing one side of who we are as a people or how we choose to create, right? And utilize our talent. Here's the caveat. Here's the thing. BET, I would love to help. If the heart is really in wanting to put out the best product possible, you know, I understand that TV is an ever-changing landscape. I understand that budgets are probably getting smaller. I noticed that the awards show was held in a club last night as opposed to like a big civic center or a big theater like it's normally in. You feel me? I've participated in the BET Hip Hop Awards multiple times. So I know the type of venues they normally held in. It was held in Dre's nightclub in Las Vegas. There was just things that was noticeably different. They didn't even have artists there sitting in the audience. They didn't even have people like presenting the awards to people who were winning. They had Fat Joe hosting, and he'd just come back from commercial break and be like, yeah, by the way, such and such won this award. And he holding like a little trophy, you heard me, in his hand. And he just like, yeah, so this for this person. Yeah, Kendrick Lamar won 8 awards tonight, y'all. And he holding 1 trophy. I'm like, boy, that trophy got the power of 8 all in one. You heard me? I was like, sheesh. Man, I was like, okay, things are changing. Things are changing. BET, let's get ahead of this. You heard me? The culture is broken. Like, it needs fixing. We need to go in a whole different direction. So when I talk about being able to help provide solutions, being the change you want to see is part of it, but then also being able to offer alternatives to what's currently going on, right? And there are very creative ways. Like, I actually know them. Like, last night made me start jotting down. People are ready for a change. Enough people are ready for a change to where, like, we have to go in a different direction. Because if you try to hold on to something that you know, like, you know deep down, you can't even stand behind this super confidently because you know deep down, like, man, this ain't it. You heard me? Like, imagine that. Imagine having to do a project when you was in school and you got to get up in front of class and present that thing, and you know this ain't it at all. I threw this together. This ain't the best reflection of who I am, but I got to get up here and act super confident about this piece of foolishness that I'm finna present in front of this class. I got to actually make these people believe that I even like this. I think that's where we at with the culture right now. And with presenting something like the BET Hip Hop Awards, I think that's where we at as a people, as Black people, you know? I'm sure that people want something different, but people are like, well, we ain't dreamed that big yet, or we ain't truly seen what an alternative could look like that's still viable, right? I got plenty of ideas. Plenty. You hear me? With that being said, a lot of people didn't even watch the BET Hip Hop Awards, if you want to know the truth. When I tweeted that, you know, I hit my partner up. He should remain nameless. He was like, wait, what? The what? I didn't even know that was coming on. Like, no, I ain't finna watch it tonight. I was like, I was finna pull up by you and watch it. Like, a lot of people, even when I tweeted it and I put it on Instagram about like, yo, the culture is broken and needs a fix, a lot of people didn't even know that the awards were on, right? I personally have an investment into watching the awards, because, like I said, I've participated in the BET Hip Hop Awards multiple times, right? A lot of people don't, it ain't even, you know what, you can't put it on everybody to have to go do a bunch of research. But man, like I come from a real passionate place with all the stuff that I speak on, because a lot of it has to do with lived experience in some way, shape, or form. So yesterday marked the 10-year anniversary of when I was on the BET Hip Hop Awards and I participated in one of the ciphers, right? So I was on a cipher that included my man Logic, my girl Lil Mama, my man Troy Ave, and my girl Detroit Shay, you heard me? And me, D1. And man, honestly, y'all, like that was one of the most dark, tough periods of my adult life. And I always come back to that BET Cipher as like the milestone moment to just encapsulate that season of my life, because it wasn't all because of the cipher at all, for sure. But that was just a big moment amidst everything that was marked by a lot of depression that I was dealing with. That time period was marked by me being suicidal. I did something 2 days ago, because October 14th is the exact day when I was on it. I did something 2 days ago. I went back and listened to my interview on Sway in the Morning that I did. I did this interview the exact day that my BET Awards cipher was going to be airing. This is in 2014. I remember I started crying in that interview. I broke down crying. I was struggling at that time, right? I was really struggling. And I'll go in detail in a second, but I happened to do that interview that day. That interview really helped me out a lot. You know, it didn't fix everything that I was going through. It didn't. But I haven't watched that interview in 10 years. You know, it's 2014 is when it came out. I think October 14th or whatever. And I was in there, and they had people calling in the interview, like in tears and crying, and just really, I was transparent in that interview about some of what I had been struggling with, to the point where it was powerful, and it was transforming even over the airwaves what a lot of people were going through. And like I said, I never forget a dude that called in like crying and just really, even with Sway, I could just tell that it really touched like his whole team had to be Tracy G. You heard me? Shout out to them. So 10 years later, I have definitely been sitting here reflecting on the fact that like, wow, like I'm proud that I made it this far. Because I definitely was contemplating killing myself during that season. Definitely was not bold and not feeling confident about the way in which I was using the platforms and the talents that God had gifted me with. I was definitely struggling with a lot of double-mindedness, you know. And a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, you know, and I was struggling with that back then. Big time, yo. Big time. And imagine struggling with that stuff, but life is still moving real fast, because I had recently signed my deal with RCA Records at the time. I'm getting a lot of these platforms for the first time. Behind the scenes, I'm trying to get like my team in order, and it's like a lot of musical chairs being played with people on my team. It's people messing over me in real time, and I'm having to deal with that heartache and that disappointment from that. But then I'm getting opportunities that I have never gotten up until that point in life. And from the outside, it's looking real good to people too, you know? So it just was a lot. And it culminated with, I know how to, I just know, y'all know, if y'all familiar with my content, y'all know, like, man, that boy D1 be killing stuff. Like, that boy be ripping stuff up, like, for real. Whether it's his music he putting out, whether it's if he spitting, you know, on this show or that show, like, you know, and I'm thankful for that, because there's a big difference between, like I just spoke about with BET, there's a big difference between doing something and you know it's not your best, but you got to present it, versus knowing like, look, whether you like it or not, I love this. And I'm at peace with that. And I know that God will be pleased with this. That right there goes a long way. And it helps you to really just be, it helps you to be at peace, and it helps you to be in a good headspace mentally, right? So 10 years later, I'm there. I'm there a lot more than I was back then. I remember, if I go in depth, I remember with the BET Cipher, there was people I had to at least in my mind, there was people I had to try to appeal to. And it was like, well, how do I appeal to them? And I'm overthinking like all of these things. Like, what should I wear? Who's would I wear gonna appeal to? What should I say with these bars or with those bars? What's the record label gonna think? They gotta, at the time, it was almost like there was like this little system set up to where they almost had to, they definitely have to write the stuff for me, but they had to be like okay with what I was gonna, put out there. And these are people who wear suits, and these are people who are not creatives, you know what I'm saying? But they gotta be okay with this stuff that I'm putting out there. And I just remember having all that going on and it just leading to like, oh my gosh, like this don't even feel fun. This don't even feel fun. It was so crazy that they recorded that mug like multiple times. You heard me? They recorded our cipher multiple times because some people was messing up, just full transparency. Some people was messing up. I wasn't one of them. But some people, like, they'd mess up. So they'd be like, all right, take two. We about to cut the whole thing again. And it was to the point where y'all want to talk about double-mindedness. I spit a different verse from take one to take two. Like take one, I spit one verse, right? And when it was like cut, I was like, wait, cut? Like take two? Like what? I didn't know we do this thing multiple times. And so in my mind, it's like, well, shoot, take two? I'm about to do verse two. You heard me? I'm about to do a whole nother rendition of this verse that I spit. Just because in my mind, it's like, should I do this or should I do this or should I do that and da-da-da? And I'm an analytical thinker for sure. But it was beyond okay, where I was at with it at that time. And I just had a bunch of tumultuous stuff going on. So the fact that I was on the BET Black College Tour at that time, I got to go in depth about the fact that it was during that time while I was on that tour that I had actually, unfortunately, was literally plotting on taking my own life and plotting and actually like planning it out in a tangible way. So it was definitely during that tour. There's a picture that I might post it up on the screen right now so y'all could see. It's a picture during that time that I took on that tour. And I remember that exact day being like, yep, I'm making like these real plans to, take my own life. But meanwhile, I got a show today in front of a whole bunch of college students, and I'm just smiling for the camera, and nobody knows what's behind this smile right now. I remember that, and I remember the exact picture. So I could definitely find that more just to show y'all. To make a long story short, with the BET Hip Hop Awards, man, it just felt good. It felt equivalent to somebody being like, yo, I'm 1 year sober, and I'm not, I haven't had alcohol in a year or in 2 years, and they want to celebrate that stuff. I feel like I'm 10 years, roughly 10 years removed from a very dark, depressing season of my life. Roughly 10 years removed from it. So yeah, truth be told, that season lasted on into 2015 for sure. It definitely did. But yeah, I don't know. That's always just a milestone in my life that I think about. So as I was watching it last night, and watching the awards, I was just like, man, you know what? It's been 10 years since then. I know how much of a personal investment I have in wanting to see us do better as a people in terms of how we choose to represent ourselves. And you know what? Last night just showed me. I think it hit a new low last night. And that's not to take shots at anybody in particular who was a part of the awards, but I think the awards overall hit a new low. And because of that, it's the perfect time to say, how do we go in a different direction? And I'm down to be a part of that. I'm going to be a part of that, whether it's formally with the BET Hip Hop Awards or with the BET Awards or BET or not. I'm still going to be a part of that already. You know, we got the Platinum Pledge. We got everything that I represent and stand for as an artist. We got what I'm putting out there for sure. Oh, I also just announced yesterday that I will be starting year number 2 as Professor D1 at Tufts University. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. That was really dope to be able to put that out there publicly. And I did some flashback clips on my Instagram of my class last year, and people could just see how fun the class was. I teach the intersection of hip hop and social change. So I'll be teaching that again this year, spring of 2025 in the spring semester. And yeah, like I'm already a part of being that change, but there's just a lot we could do, because I know that as a kid, you know, even watching those award shows, like that at least it used to be an exciting time. I don't even know if it's exciting for kids anymore. I don't even know if kids watching it, you know, anymore. But there's just so much better that I know we can do. So,
hey, can I ask you a question if you don't mind?
Yes, sir.
Yo, if you go back 10 years ago, like you said, you were trying to be performative for the people at the label and things like that. But I don't think I heard you speak on, when did you recognize that this was a hard time in your life? Like when did you identify that? It
was during the BET Hip Hop Awards. That's when I fully recognized that you know, you can recognize that your car needs some work done on it, but it ain't till that car break down or till that car start overheating and you start to see that smoke come up from the hood that you're like, whoa. And for me, that's what the BET Hip Hop Awards symbolized. That's actually a great question, bro, because why did it symbolize that? Because this was a night that I had associated with, this is going to change my entire life. I'm going to be on TV in front of millions of people. And I've been wanting this opportunity for so long. You heard me? Been wanting this opportunity. I finally got it. This is going to be the night that changes everything. I feel like I'm the underdog at my label. You heard me? I feel like I don't really have big support from the label. This is going to be the night that makes them say, oh, D1 is a star. Like, we actually gotta really get behind him and support him in a real way after this night. This will have all these fans at home who are like, man, I ain't even know who this dude was, but now he my favorite rapper. You know, that's what I envisioned. That's what I envisioned in my head. And with that being said, it didn't meet those expectations. It definitely didn't meet those expectations for sure. But it was almost like, how would you rather fail at something? Would you rather make a C, or if the goal is to make an A, would you rather make a C or would you rather make an F? And for me, it was almost like, man, I'd rather make an F than a C if they both are gonna constitute failing. Because when you make that C, it's almost like, I tried. Like, the goal was to make a A. I just really didn't do it, you know? But oftentimes if you make an F, it's almost like, okay, at least you know you made an F because you didn't even put in the work or the effort, you know? I was putting in the work and the effort, but I was also you know, with boxing gloves on, battling demons at the same time and battling a lot of self-doubt and battling a lot of voices in my ear and not being centered spiritually. You feel me? So it was almost like, dang, this sucked. Like, I wanted this so bad and I clearly didn't hit the mark that I had set for myself. And the crazy thing is, a lot of people were extremely proud of me, and a lot of good stuff honestly came from that night. But that's not because of me. That just shows how good God is, honestly, because God allows so much great stuff to transpire from that night in terms of relationships that got built, in terms of other opportunities that came about from there. So it's like, dang, God really still, it's Romans 8:28. You know what I mean? It's like all things really be working together for the good of those who love the Lord and live according to his purpose. So I'm just like, in hindsight, I'm able to say, like, dang, okay, I could start to see that even at my worst, God was still opening doors for me and still like making it to where it's like, you're gonna be all right. But I needed something that I perceived as a loss, like a real loss, like a real one. Like I said, if this is a car, not just the car going every now and then while you're driving, but that mug going boom. And then it's just like, dang, okay, it got my attention. So after that, I like to say that I went from good to great as an artist and as a man on a mission to do God's work in this industry. I think I had a good heart and a good desire to do that prior to that, but that turned into something that was great after that,
So you said that was 2015.
2014.
2014, and it lasted up until like 2017, 2018, you said?
No, that period of depression lasted until early 2016.
Okay. So if we're using a car analogy, sometimes I can hear it and I know my car needs work, but I'm unable to afford the work that needs to get done. So I'm just using it to the best of my ability until I can get this money. In your instance, if we could use that same analogy, what was taking you so long? If you noticed it in that moment during the BET Awards, if you noticed it in 2014, what was the process, or what took you so long from, I don't want to say so long, but what took you from 2014 to 2016?
Man, depression is a dog. Like, it's a real thing to the point where I couldn't really relate to people when they would say like, oh, I'm depressed and all that stuff. I couldn't really relate to them prior to that because I was like, man, like, even in my worst moments, I've always had a brightness, a joy, and excitement about myself to where it allows me to get up in the morning and still want to be productive and still make a difference in this world, make an impact. Dog, when you are like literally depressed and I guess clinically, depressed, man, like, you could know what work needs to be done, but you could be like, I don't want to get up out this bed. You could know what you need to read, in the Bible or something like that, but you could be like, I've made it to where I don't even feel worthy of being blessed right now. I'm dwelling on my mistakes. I'm dwelling on my darkest moments, you heard me? And I'm dwelling on a past that I can't even go back and change right now. Like, and I'll never be able to go back and change it. But you know this stuff, like rationally you know this stuff, but it still is just like it's like a wheel, since we want to keep with the car analogy, you heard me? It's like a steering wheel when you need some power steering fluid, you heard me? Because without that power steering fluid, no matter what, that sucker just keep veering off to the left, you know what I'm saying? And you like, put that mud back in the middle. And as soon as you like relax for a second, or even if you got your hand on the wheel, unless it's firmly on that wheel, man, that thing just naturally just wants to, you know what I'm saying? Like, just wants to go ahead on and veer off, yo. So, yeah.
So what was the awakening moment? Like, how did you know you was coming out of it in 2016?
Man, so there was a song that I had called Sally Maybach, right? And it was a whole project I had done. First of all, it got even worse. So that next summer, that's the end of 2014. That's October 2014, BET Hip Hop Awards. Fast forward a few months. And it's like, all right, I'm putting some music out with the label. I put an EP out in February of 2015 on Mardi Gras Day, I think February 17th. And that went well. That charted on Billboard in the top 10 in the world, and all that was cool. But deep down, it was still like, man, I don't feel like a level of joy about life right now. Like, it's really just like, oh, I'm just going through the motions, right? So for me, I'm a passionate person, so I be wanting to be passionate about what it is I'm doing. And when I'm able to be passionate about something, that's when I know, like, I'm in a good space. right? I couldn't even tap into a level of passion that I was having for a lot of things at that point in life. Relationships, friendships, family, music, all that stuff. So come the summer of 2015, I had a project that I did that I actually got passionate about, and it was called Separated at Birth. Separated at Birth was a concept I came up with to where I would take all Lil Wayne instrumentals and whatever he rapped about on those songs, I was going to rap about the polar opposite, like a 180-degree difference from what he rapped about. Or if he rapped about something, I was going to rap about almost like the solution to what it is I feel that he was glorifying or putting out there in that song over the same beats. It's called Separated at Birth because I've been immensely influenced by Lil Wayne. There's no way to deny that. As a little kid growing up, just listening to all of his music, him being like my favorite rapper, right? So it's like, oh, I feel like in a lot of ways we're like two brothers that are separated at birth, you know? And we from the same city. We both intelligent. We just went in two different directions, specifically with our art and how we choose to use our gift to make music. So I remember spending the summer working on that project. That's 2015. And when it was time for it to come out, man, it just ended up being this big controversy, bro, to where the project got banned. My record label called me the night before saying that they had got calls from either his label or his team or something like that, saying, I guess they felt like, oh, if this mixtape comes out, it might be a mixtape where it's like trying to diss him or you know, constantly, or, you know, try to diminish his credibility or things like that. And some conversations got had to where my label basically called me and put me in a what you call it? I guess that's called almost like a blackmailing type of situation, to where they were like, if you put this mixtape out tomorrow, like it was set to come out the next day. And by the way, my record label had heard the mixtape already and didn't have no problem with it because I had sent it to them weeks earlier. But if you put this mixtape out tomorrow, we basically gonna leave you on the shelf. We're not gonna allow you to release no music, no official music through us. We also not gonna allow you to get out of your deal. So you're just gonna kind of be stuck here, signed, with no support from the label and just on the shelf. And that's really how that got put to me, you know? So, man, that was tough. Who wants to work a whole summer on something and then be put in a position where if you put it out, something that you genuinely are proud of too, that you feel like is gonna really impact the marketplace, and then be put in that position. So I ended up not putting it out. And honestly, it was on me, you know what I'm saying, to make the final call. I ended up not putting it out. And there's some other things that my record label was saying that they were telling me that, you know, it might not be safe for me to put it out and da-da-da-da-da. Whoop-de-woo. That being said, that's 2015, right? So later that fall, I'm like, all right, I did what the record label wanted me to do to stay on quote unquote good terms with them. Now I'm going to come back to them. I'm going to fly to New York and go back to them with a full project completed that I'm extremely proud to present. It has nothing to do with the Separated at Birth mixtape, and it's just something I'm really excited to present. So I go up there with this whole project done, and I'm ready to play it for the label. And one song that I'm particularly excited about is a song called Sally Mayback, to where I was like, hey, y'all, this song in particular is going to really, really make a big impact in the marketplace. It's about me paying off my student loans. And when I signed to y'all, part of what I spent my advance money on that I got from y'all was paying off my student loans. So many millions of Americans have student loans. They're going to be able to relate to this. Like, this is going to be a powerful song, yo. And I'm super excited about the whole project, honestly. But that song, like, I play that song, right? Man, them people laughed at it in a bad way. Not in like, yo, this fire. Like, nah, like, they laughed at it. They called it corny. They was like, nobody gonna want to hear this. Ain't nobody trying to hear this, you know? And it just was like an awkward energy in the room from me playing that song, right? I also it's like I was trying to fight my way up out being in that dark place, bro. So also on that project, I had some super transparent songs about different struggles I had been having and what I was going through, you know, like kind of being in that dark place, and just personally going into detail. It's one thing to be like, I was in a dark place. It's another thing to know exact stuff that is going on and that you are struggling with, and to be like, I'm gonna go in on that exact topic. You know what I'm saying? I chose to do that on this project. I don't often like tell this part, but I played some more of that music for them as well. And bro, like imagine opening up to somebody who you feel like, yo, I can open up to this person and be real with them about something I'm going through, or me looking to conquer something I'm going through. And imagine them looking at you like, oh, you like you really like a weirdo, or like you need to just go, you know, get some help because that ain't it, or we just ain't feeling that, or da da da. And it just really felt like that with the music. So this is leading to the end of 2015. You know what I'm saying? This was definitely leading to the end of 2015. And when I left New York that day with all that negative energy that I had received, I had to make another decision of like, do I just scrap a whole project that took who knows how long to work on? Do I just scrap that again? Is this just gonna be a pattern? I do a whole project and then all of a sudden, because of something the label said, like I just scrap that sucker? Or do I say, man, look, I'm putting this out one way or another. And that day I made my mind up that I was gonna still put something out. And the song I was most excited about on that project was Sally Maybach. I was super excited about that song. Very confident in that song. And so I made my mind up, I'm still gonna put this song out. I can't, you know, break the rules of my contract and put it on the streaming platforms like Apple and Spotify, but I can put it out just on Instagram. I can put it out just on YouTube and just not monetize it. You know what I'm saying? I can do that stuff. So I decided to go back to New Orleans and to shoot a video to it, to the song Sally Maybach. We put a real dope video together. We shot it on Dillard University's campus and on LSU's campus, where I graduated from. And I put that mug out. This was like, you know, this was near the end of the year. So top of the year came, and, you know, the end of the year, the music industry like shuts down in a lot of ways, and just people moving around for the holidays. Top of the year came, and I remember early February is when I went ahead and dropped the song and the video for Sally Maybach on Instagram and on YouTube, and it blew up. It changed my whole life. In 1 week, it was the most viral song out at the time, especially from an independent artist. I'm on all kind of charts. I'm getting calls from every single press and media outlet. I'm in Forbes magazine. I'm in Time magazine. I'm on CNN out in Atlanta. I'm on The Real, the daytime talk show. With on my episode was it was don't make me lie, but it was like the full host on there. That was crazy. I performed the song and did a really powerful interview. I'm on ESPN. I'm on His and Hers with my man Michael Smith and Jamel Hill. You heard me talking about a song called Sally Maybach, where I'm paying off my student loans, but it had got that big that it's leading to all of this type of stuff. And I remember that's when I first met DJ Envy, because he had a show on Sirius XM at the time. And, you know, I did that. I did that show with DJ Envy, Sirius XM. Man, a lot happened. I almost got into a fight in the hallway with one of the executives at the record label, because when DJ Envy interviewed me on air, I kept it 100 with him about the fact that the label didn't like the song and the label wasn't really supporting the song. So all this that's happening, this was just happening organically. This was just God opening these doors. And, I guess the label, even though they didn't like the song and wasn't supporting it, they didn't want it to come across like that to the public. So had an issue in the hallway the next day when I went to see the label. Like all this stuff happened and ended up ultimately forming a partnership with Sallie Mae, the actual student loan company. I formed a partnership with them on the strength of how big that song got and how powerful it was, talking about financial literacy inside of hip hop and talking about student loan debt and paying your loans off. It led to a partnership with me and them. And this is how I know God has had his hand on my life. My partnership with Sallie Mae ended up equating to 10 times what my record deal was worth financially. 10 times what I had signed my record deal for. So I was looking for validation from the label in so many ways during that time. And then the one time when I was almost at my breaking point, already going through a dark season of depression in my life, and then to hear the label just once again, like, nah, we ain't rocking with this corny, we ain't putting this out, da-da-da. To hear that, and for me to just really trust my gut and be like, I'm gonna put this out. I'm gonna put this out just in some way, shape, or form. I'm gonna put it out, even just for promo use only, So yeah, I did that. And honestly, it's crazy that I think that song coming out and even the success of it, it definitely just led to a whole different brightness that I felt in my world. All of a sudden, it wasn't that darkness anymore. I think success on your terms and success in an authentic way, in a way that's authentic to you, can help to cure what you're going through when you're in a dark, lonely place. You know what I mean? Because part of that darkness and that loneliness was definitely attached to me having success from the outside looking in, but not really feeling good about the terms under which I was gaining that success. Or part of that dark period also came from me not getting the type of success that I wanted. But then that's the period, 2016, where I started to see like, yo, success is really, 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 really about figuring out how to boldly do God's work in a way that I'm first, knowing that I'm pleasing God to the best of my ability. But then secondly, this is also still something that I'm being authentically who I am. Because there's a lot of people that's like, they posing as somebody that's doing God's work, or they have this image or that image. And truthfully, that's exactly what it is. It's just an image. And it's a lane that they've created that they know this works well for me and for my fan base. And for me, I didn't want it to be like that. So when I start tapping into that level of success, this even before the Sallie Mae partnership, by the way. This even before like, oh yeah, of course, if you sign a big partnership and that changed your life, financially, of course you're gonna feel better then. You ain't gonna be depressed. It was even before then. It was like, nah, I had to rebel against a system that I knew wasn't really in favor of me being myself and of me completing the mission that God, put me on down here. And I had to rebel against it in a way that was still it was still something that was like respectful. It was like a respectful rebellion, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, it was like a respectful rebellion, This is called flipping tables with D1, dog. When Jesus went and flipped them tables and whatnot, it could have got worse than that. I'm sure he could have grabbed some people by the throat. You know what I'm saying? He could have went to beating some people down, you heard me? Stomping them out, you heard me? Straight up. But he went and flipped some tables, you know what I mean? So he had to rebel, but there was still a respectfulness to it. And I think that became something that has been synonymous with the energy I've carried moving forward. It's like I'm like a respectful rebel, when need be. So that's how that happened. And I think that's what we need in the culture right now. We need people to be disruptors. We need people to be rebels, but we need people to do it in a way that can still ultimately lead to where we are better together moving forward, right? Because who am I to say that, hold on, who performed at the BET Hip Hop Awards? Who am I to say that 2 Chainz, 310 Baby, Big Boogie, GloRilla, Bossman D-Lo, E40, Juicy J, Soulja Boy, Roscoe Dash, Trina, Young Miami. Who am I to say that all the performers at the BET Hip Hop Awards don't have an anointing on their life or don't have a calling on their life? Of course they do. Of course they do. Absolutely. There's just ways to where we have to figure out, okay, what do we do to where people can view it as such, to where they can view their talent and their platform as a gift from God that should be used to glorify God. That's the challenge we're going through right now. So somebody I want to salute is GloRilla's mom. You heard me? Because I saw an interview that GloRilla just recently did with Charlemagne, and GloRilla talked about how her mama brought her up in church, right? And how her mama like kept pouring that word into her. And if you look at Proverbs 22, verse 6, it says, train up a child in the way he or she should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. GloRilla has those seeds planted in her from her having a praying mama, a mama who loves Jesus, right? And because of that, although GloRilla is a young lady, she's 25 years old, in the music industry that is clearly going to reward her for showcasing a side of her that may not be the most pleasing to God or may not be in accordance with how her mama raised her, she still got them seeds planted in her. And that's why on her album, she still is like, yeah, I want to have a gospel song on my album. Or, yeah, I know deep down that I'm still a woman of God and whatnot. I think that even having those seeds, like she only 25, yo. As she grows and matures, that's something where the goal is for those seeds that were planted during childhood to continue to grow and mature. So shout out to GloRilla's mom. Like, she's the real MVP, for real. And if you notice, when I talk about artists inside the culture, oftentimes I'm like, look, we got to look at these older artists. These older artists, that's somebody's mama and somebody's daddy and somebody's grandpa even. You know what I'm saying? And the artists and the executives and the media people that are older, that's the ones who should know better. So it's a beautiful testimony when you can see a GloRilla saying how her mama raised her and what her mama poured into her, which is the word of God. Because a lot of us, we stray away during our adolescence or during our teenage years or even our 20s or something like that. But them seeds that got planted, man, they cause a lot of people to spin the block and do a whole U-turn and come back and eventually be like, man, I know I've departed from the way I was raised and what I know God will want from me. And people end up doing them U-turns. And we got to salute the people that planted the seeds in their lives. So I just feel like in our culture, as I'm even looking at the BET Hip Hop Awards, there's some people who it's like, man, it's just a little 20-something-year-old dude. This is just a little teenage dude or teenage female or whatever who they don't know no better right now. Like, they trying to figure it out. They trying to figure it out. Well, I'm being rewarded for showcasing this side of who I am. I have other sides to me, but it don't seem like that's the side that people really want. So maybe I'll just continue to show this ratchet side of me, or maybe I just continue to glorify, these negative messages in my music, right? They're going through that in their head. But at a certain point, when people have elevated, the people who know better and who are still choosing to do that, at that point, that's willful ignorance. And that is something that, like, the buck has to stop somewhere in terms of like, yo, we got to expect more from people who have lived longer. Like, we just do. We just have to. And we can't try to make excuses for people. Of course, not everybody is going to evolve, but at a certain point, that choice to not evolve becomes something where it's being done by a much older person whose brain has formed more, and they know that they should evolve, but they just saying like, nah, like I just don't want to put in the work to do so, you know? And that's where we at in the culture. And I got somebody in particular who I'm doing a whole podcast episode on this dude. Actually, it's two of y'all. And hey, call it like it is. That's what I'm gonna have to do. It's 2 episodes and it's 2 people. I already know these episodes will be coming soon. That, you know, man, come on, man. Like y'all got, come on, bro. Y'all could do better. Like for real, for real. And I know y'all can. And it just gotta be talked about. And I could talk about it on here, and then we'll see if it does it lead to a conversation that we need to have. But it's just too many people. Hip hop is old enough now to where we have enough people in the culture who are intentionally choosing to not grow, to not evolve, and to continue to make excuses for other people not growing and not evolving. And we got to do better. So that's all I got, man. That's all I got, y'all. Y'all done made me talk. Golly, y'all. I look, y'all know how I like to keep it with these episodes, but this one right here, this is yeah, I guess I just went on a tangent talking about them years, yo. Like for real, 2014 through early 2016. Oof, that was a time for real. So yeah. Thank you very much. Once again, if you're listening to this, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're liking it, you commenting on it. If you got questions for me, always leave them in the comment section, especially on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio version of this, thank you. Make sure you have subscribed to the audio version, Flipping Tables with D1, the podcast. And y'all know what it is, man. I ain't hard to find. D1 Music on all platforms, DEE, the number 1 music on all social media platforms, and just D1 on the streaming platforms, DEE the number 1. Got the children's book out. David found his slingshot at D1music.com, DEE, the number 1 music.com. Got my tour coming up with my man, Brother Ali. We're going to 22 cities from November 11th through December 15th. Make sure y'all get y'all tickets, brotherali.com. Make sure you sign the Platinum Pledge. And make sure you bumping my music. The new album, Loaded, is out right now. Let's go. See y'all next time.